It's hard to believe the woman who spent the night preparing stories for her kids turned out to be the infamous Texas axe killer. Candy used an axe to strike her neighbor and friend 41 times, and her fate was even more shocking. Candy seemed to have it all: a successful, loving husband, 2 beautiful kids, and a great relationship with her neighbors. Just the day before the murder, Alan's oldest daughter had even slept over at Candy's house. The victim was Betty, Alan's wife. She had just given birth to their second child, and she was battling severe postpartum depression. Alone at home, she was already stressed out by her crying newborn. Then Candy called her. She wanted to take Betty's older daughter to see Star Wars. Candy asked if the girl could stay over for another night. Betty hesitated. She said her daughter had swim class and her swimsuit was at home, but Candy insisted, saying she'd come by Betty's house at noon to get the swimsuit. Then she hung up before Betty could reply. Candy was always like this, self-centered. She was the social butterfly of the community. At every event, Candy was always the center of attention. Betty, meanwhile, had been waiting for her daughter to come home to ease her loneliness. But now, stuck alone with a crying baby, her anger began to build. She even called Alan's boss to complain about her husband being sent out of town for work on a weekend. This left Alan embarrassed at work. Later, when Alan tried calling home, Betty refused to answer out of guilt. That's why it took 13 hours after her death for anyone to find her body. Meanwhile, Candy dropped her kids off at a community event. She planned to stop by Betty's house for the swimsuit, then meet up with her kids later for their school performance. But that decision led to an unthinkable tragedy. As her children's performance began, Candy was nowhere to be found. In reality, she was speeding home in a panic. Her hair was wet, she had a cut on her head, and an injury on her toe. At home, she frantically threw her clothes in the washing machine. By the time she arrived at her kids' performance, the show was already over. Candy explained she had gone to Betty's, then stopped at a convenience store. Her watch had apparently stopped working, making her lose track of time. Candy usually wore flip-flops out, but to hide her toe injury, she put on sneakers instead.
Oh, aren't your little sneakers so darling? I'm used to seeing your beat-up shower shoes.
Meanwhile, Alan stopped by the bank. He was planning a getaway with Betty after his trip, but when he tried calling Betty to share the news, there was still no answer. He felt uneasy, but his flight was about to depart. Candy, sticking to her schedule, took Betty's daughter swimming as if nothing had happened. Later, she called her husband. She claimed her broken watch made her miss her bank errand and asked him to pick up the cash instead. Before hanging up, Candy casually asked if he knew where Alan was traveling. The question seemed to annoy her husband. Later, Candy took all 3 kids to the theater and watched Star Wars with her husband. But after the movie, Candy suddenly pulled over and threw up on the side of the road. Her husband noticed she was limping. Candy blamed it on their broken sliding door. Back in the neighborhood, 2 tiny drops of blood sat unnoticed near Betty's front door. At 7 p.m., Alan checked into his hotel. He called home again, still no answer. So he called Candy. "Have you seen Betty today?" Candy said yes. She had seen her when she stopped by to get the swimsuit. She assured Alan his daughter was still at her house for the night. Hearing Alan's growing worry, Candy quickly offered, "I can go check on her," but Alan declined. He said he'd ask another neighbor to stop by. Candy's husband overheard and asked what Alan wanted. Candy repeated her story about her broken watch and seeing Betty earlier.
You said that before.
Did I?
Alan called his neighbor Zara and begged her to check his house. At first, Zara didn't want to, but Alan's tone was so desperate, she finally agreed. A dark feeling crept over Alan. When Zara called back, she said she knocked for a long time but no one answered. Betty's car wasn't in the driveway anymore. "I saw it there earlier today, maybe she went out," but Alan's worry only deepened. He asked Zara to find the number for the local police. At 11:30 p.m., Alan called Candy's house again. "I've contacted the police and the hospital, but there's no sign of Betty." Candy's voice trembled slightly. "I can go check her house," she offered again, but Alan still refused. This time, Alan begged Zara to break in if she had to. Zara noticed Betty's car was now back in the garage, and the garage light was still on. Alan's stomach dropped. He called the neighborhood police for backup. When the officers arrived, they found blood in the bathroom and a crying baby in the cradle, weak from exhaustion. But in the kitchen, they made a horrifying discovery. Alan's phone rang again. "Your baby is safe," the officer said. "But Betty, she's dead. It looks like she was shot."
We don't even know to come.
Late that night, he broke the news to Candy. Candy gasped in shock because she knew her murder weapon wasn't a gun. Her murder weapon was an axe.